If you are into the cloud support or DevOps support, you know that there is a buzzword around infrastructure as code or infrastructure as a code, right? That is what DevOps principle or DevOps practice would like to implement in many of the enterprises or even for small customers. They want a kind of option where they can simplify the way that we are creating stuff or the reusability and the way that we spend time manually creating resources could be avoided, right? So infrastructure as code or infrastructure as a code, both are same. They are DevOps principles. They are part of the DevOps practice. So it's a code or DevOps as infrastructure as a code. So there are a couple of options. The primary option is the ARM templates, which is pretty much similar to your cloud formation templates in AWS, and it is equivalent to your Terraform. So if your organization is having multiple different cloud environment or hybrid environments, you can pretty much go and use a common tool like Terraform, which can be used for creating the resources using the templates. So for templates to be written, so there are some templating languages, right? So the most common is the JSON language, and you can also use YAML. And for example, Terraform has its own HashiCorp configuration language. So pretty much these are very much same in a way that the information that we are going to enter into that is all key value pairs. Okay, so it's not a big learning curve. There is nothing to learn, I would say. It's a kind of pretty much human readable content, human readable text, and that is the reason many of them have started utilizing it very quickly. And even the people who doesn't have programming skills can learn this templating language, and they can start working on it. And that too, this is the open standard format, right? So any tool to be popular, it has to be open standard. Of course, JSON and YAML, they are all the tools which are open standard. And again, they are all transmitting the data as objects. So that is again an upper hand. It's pretty much object oriented. So it's very easy to handle the situation. So when it comes to the template, right? So template is nothing but a document, right? And document, even if you're writing a design document, or if you're writing a knowledge base article, or even a standard operating procedure SOP document, what you do, you generally follow a particular structure, right? And that structure has to be followed here as well. And the very basic thing that we need to follow is the version control and the schema. How the content should look like, what kind of metadata we can pass on, what kind of properties could be added, what kind of values it could accept, what are the different metadata it is going to be getting added. So the schema is the skeleton of what we are going to create. So it is going to be the structure, and we will have some version number for it. See, without versioning, any document cannot be controlled. So for example, if you have a document that was created last month, and then if someone has taken up the older version and they started editing in parallel and they have saved something different, so it's going to be very, very tough to understand which one is the latest and which one we have to refer. So of course we need to have the proper version control and the proper versioning against each of the document. When we create the template, it should have the we should use the latest schema template, and we should also update the version number with some date and version numbers. And there is a field where we can go and capture some free text information. So this is a text field, right? So where you can just go and enter for what purpose this has got created, and what is the activities that we are going to perform, what kind of tasks that we are going to perform using this infrastructure as a code, like that our ARM template. And afterwards, you have certain information that you can pass on, like the parameters, and the parameters are nothing but the information that you're going to pass on and we are going to create, and the resources that we are going to create will be coming under the resource section. So this is nothing but your VM, the storage account, the network interface card, the public IP address, and whatever, right? Any resources that you could create on an Azure platform, you can just create it under the resources, and the information, the metadata, the properties that you want to configure, you can also configure along with resources. You can go and mention what kind of SKU that you want, which kind of stock keeping unit, which instance family, what instance size. So all those information and a lot of variables will be there, and all those variables will be passed into the sector section. So the in-between section will have this parameters and variables along with the resources that you are planning to create, and the properties again. Metadata is nothing but the data of data, right? The data about the resources. So what kind of configuration we are going to pass on and so on. And you can also add an optional field called output, which can give us what it has got created. And if you need to fix some link or URL or some specific details, you can also call out this output and print those output at the very end of the document. So this is how the entire structure of the document will look like. Maybe I will show you quick some example, so that way you understand what I'm talking about here. If I go to templates, I can just go and create something new from the scratch. But if you want to use some of the existing template and you don't want to start from the scratch, you can also go to the ARM template section here, and you can see the complete structure here. So they are giving us the schema, content version, parameter, and resources. So for a JSON document or a ARM template to be complete, you just need only these resources. So these are the mandatory information that we need to pass on. So the other details are subordinate, sub options where which we can go and add as a additional information. So this is the overall structure of your ARM template in a JSON structure. And let me just take another example here. So let me go and pick up some deploy a custom template. I want to create something. So see, for example, they have given us the routine template that we use, like setting up the landing zone or creating a Linux virtual machine, Windows VM, or creating a web app. So these are all some ready-made templates that are available. Even there is a kind of complete set of templates that are available in the GitHub also. Okay, so let me show you the link where you can go and do that, or you can find it. So you don't have to do anything from the scratch. So let me just go directly here, GitHub, ARM templates sample. So this is from the Microsoft portal. Okay, so ARR Azure Quick Start templates. So you have for every single application, and within that you will see some numbers, right? For example, if you go to the Quick Start, this is what you are seeing in this particular console here. Okay, the Quick Start templates. So this is the repository for that, the GitHub repo, and within that you can see there are individual services, like you can go and explore compute, and you can start creating VMs here, or if you want to have two virtual machines with a load balancer, or if you want to do some encryption of your VMs, or if you want to, there is a lot of scripts available. Earlier, 10 years back, it was pretty much very less, but now many of the use cases are already covered. You just have to get the content and slightly modify based on your organization requirement, and you can just get it done. See, let's say like I want to create some storage account and I want to play around with some resources. It's just pretty straightforward. I can also do two things. One, I can click on this JSON file here, and from here itself I have the option to go and deploy it. Okay, so there are two options. I will first copy the content and I will explain it, and there is an option where you can directly create the resources from the console here itself. Okay, I will just copy this. So the better way of editing the templates is to use the Visual Studio, right? That is a better tool, I would say, compared to the other editor. Let's say there are editors like Eclipse and so on, but Visual Studio Code is a better one. Even you can use Notepad or Notepad++, that will give you some level of formatting. But if you want to understand the templates in a better way, especially the infrastructure as a code, then you can just go and create a new file, and then I can just say this is a JSON one, and I can just go and create it. Let me just delete all these things and then put it here. See, after I paste it, okay, I can just clearly see that what are the different sections I've got. The very first section is the schema. Maybe let me just minimize it so that we understand. So the JSON template will have to have the braces and the flower brackets and all those things. Whereas if you're using YAML, it only uses indentation. It doesn't have any braces or brackets, unlike your JSON. JSON is more structured and format. The very first thing, you have the schema, then the content version, and you have the metadata information. I can just minimize the metadata here. I can just show you what is really needed here. So you have the metadata, then you have the parameter section, then you have the resources section, and you have the output section. So this is what I was telling you in the Excel sheet, right? So if you look at the Excel sheet and compare it, I have exactly said the same structure what I am seeing here. So you have got the schema, you have got the version, you have got the metadata, you have got the parameters, resources, and the output. So this is what you have here, and this is what you are seeing here. And if you want to understand what exactly we were talking about, see, let's say output. The output is going to give me a couple of information in this case. Once after it creates the storage account successfully, it is going to print me the storage account name and the ID. So whatever the details that you want to print, you can just print it as a, or you can also write it as an output and show it here. Okay, so here in this case, it is giving us the name and then the ID and all those things. Even you can ask it to print some URL or additional information. So output is mainly for our quick details. Okay, you can just go and get these information as an output, and you can see it. And resources, what kind of resource we are going to create, whether we are going to create a storage account or whether we are going to create a network interface card or public IP. So those resources will be listed here, and what version, what kind of information, the API and all those things will be available. And when it comes to parameters, so this is where you can go and customize the parameters. So whether I want a kind of specific local redundant storage or geo redundant one, and what kind of location I have to create, and what is the name I want to provide. So all those parameters I can provide it in the parameter section. I can just minimize it, and comes the metadata. So metadata is not mandatory, or sorry, I would say like I mean, you don't have to give anything under the metadata if you're creating only one resource. So let me go and show you how to use the template. I think okay, it is not here. I can go and search for that. Either you can go and click, or you can just copy the name here. I would say storage account create. So this is the template I have to search for. I can copy it. I can just go and search for it here. See, here it is. It is coming from the same exact repo, the same GitHub, right? Under the quick start, under the storage account, Microsoft.storage, we are getting the storage account create. So it's under the same hierarchy. So here, quick starts, Microsoft.storage, and you can also copy this and use it there if you want to do that. Or else, if I want to deploy it to Azure Government Cloud or Azure, I can just click on deploy to Azure. It will directly take me to Azure portal, and it will start creating it. So that's the beauty of GitHub integration with Microsoft Azure. You don't have to really select or search for things. See, it has automatically picked up that ARM template for us, and the quick start template is ready for us to go and edit some of the information. See, I have the option to go and edit the template. If I want to edit certain information on the template, I can just go and edit it. So it says like these are the things that it is going to do. I've got 3 parameters: storage account type, location, and the name. These are the only 3 parameters that I'm going to mention here. And there is no variables in this particular example. And the resource that it is going to create is only one resource, which is storage account under Microsoft.storage. It is going to create one resource with 3 important parameters. And if I want to customize this, so I can just say I want to create this as a default standard, let's say standard ZRS. Okay, and I don't want, I mean, this is the default value, right? If I'm not choosing anything, automatically it is going to choose standard zone redundant storage, and it is going to create that as a default. And in my organization, if I want to standardize the template, I can also avoid creating these additional options like the geo options, and I just want to have only 3 options: standard ZRS and premium LRS and premium ZRS. If I want to fine tune the selections and the options that my organization should use, I can also go and customize the template, and I can start using it. So that way, like, you can just change, or if you want to give some default name, or if you want to change something, you can also edit the default value. So let me just go and save this and then start creating it. So if I go to this screen, you will automatically understand what I have done. See, automatically it has chosen the standard ZRS as the default value. And if I go to the drop down, it is showing only the three options. The reason is I have removed the rest of the geo-redundant options or the standard options. I've just listed these are the three things that I need. But as a default value, I just need standard ZRS. So that's what has happened here. So this way you can go and customize the different things that you want to do. And I can also go and select the resource group in the template itself, and I can start working on it. So if you want to visualize, if there is a complex information or complex resources getting created, if you click on visualize, it will take me to a resource visualizer. Okay, so here you can, it's like a designer tool or a cloud formation, what do you call, they call some visualization tool in designer tool in AWS. So here also you have the resource visualization tool, and there used to be one more tool called ARMWiz or something similar to that. Let me just check that if it is still there. So we used to have this ARMWiz.io / designer ARM visualization. Okay, so you can also, I think they have deprecated it possibly. Let me try. Okay, looks like they have deprecated it. So they have made it as an inbuilt option. So if you want to just look at the diagram and add it into a design document, you can also use this resource visualization option, and you can do it. But now I'm just going to create with the template option that I have chosen. Okay, so let me select this, and then if I want to edit it, I can just go and edit it as I showed you. Or if I don't want to edit the template, I can just select that template and start creating the resource. Okay, there are options to go and edit the template and the parameters. See, it should go to the default option. So if I check here, it should show all the options that was available earlier. So based on your requirement, you can go and customize what you need and what kind of options that the project team or the build team should see. If you want to restrict those options, you can also restrict it here. Yesterday also we talked about Azure policy, right? We can also restrict using the Azure policy, or you can also restrict under the template option. Now if I go and review it, it will tell me like what are the different stuffs it is going to create, and you can just give it a review, and then you can check what are the options that you have chosen, and if the options are pretty much as per your standard and requirement, you can go and create it. Now it will go and quickly create a storage account with the with this format. If I want to edit it, I can edit the name and have my own name, but it is going to create something with this particular structure. Okay, so this is a kind of option to go and create. You can directly click on the deploy to Azure, and then it will create. Or if you go to search and then deploy from a custom template, you can also do it. Just for example, I want to create a Windows virtual machine. It will give me the template option, and I can just go and customize it. See, there are a lot of options. It is picking up by default, and if I want to change those things and I want to change the allocations, I can go to the edit template, and then pretty much I can see that it is going to create 7 resources. So a virtual machine along with the VM, there are 7 resources that are getting created. It creates a storage account, public IP, network security group, virtual network, a NIC card, and then it is also creating a VM with the name, and then it is also creating these many different parameters. So I have to choose whether I need a public IP, what kind of SKU I need, what kind of OS version, what is the VM size, location, VM name. So these are the different parameters that are available. 11 parameters and 7 resources just for a VM creation. And also there is a lot of variables in this thing. So you can go and change subnet, you can go and change your NIC card name, you can go and select the different storage account. There are a lot of variables that are available here. I can go and copy it, and then I can explain you how this template looks like. Again, at the end, it is the same structure wherever you go, AWS or Azure or GCP. The format is going to be the same. Okay, let me just delete it, and then I can space the same thing. Okay, this looks to be a pretty much big template. Okay, I can just go and minimize minimize the metadata, parameters, variables, resources, output. Okay, this is the complete structure. Okay, you have got a schema, you have got a content version, you have got the metadata, parameters, variables, resources, and output. So this way the template should work. So now understanding the each and every step. So this is going to just show me what is the host name of that particular instance VM, Azure VM that we are creating. And under the resources, you can see what are the different resources it is creating. It is creating a storage account, it is creating a public IP, it is creating a network security group, and a lot of different things, right? Virtual network, subnet, network interface, and so on. So this is the overall structure, and I can just go and customize it now. So I can just go and edit it here itself. I don't have to use any external tool. So if I want to change some options here, I want to allow only 2022 as an option. Let's say I don't want the older version, so I'm just going to allow only Windows 2022, and then I'm going to remove the rest of all the options like 2016 and all these things. I'm just going to allow only specific editions of. Okay, this is the thing that I'm allowing, and I'm also by default selecting 2022 Data Center Azure Edition. If I want to change that, I can also change it. And here, if I want to change the default public IPS queue to standard, I can also change it. So automatically it will default select standard. And these are the two options that are available. And if I want to allocate the public IP allocation to static, I can also go and change it to static. So this way you can just go and do some settings changes and save it. So if I go to the drop down now, you can see the difference. See, automatically the public IP allocation is selected as static, and earlier it was dynamic, and here it was basic. I have changed it to standard, and you can see that it is showing only the latest 2019 and 2022, and that too the default option is 2022 Data Center Edition. So whatever we are editing in the template, it will be immediately reflected here. I can just go and give it some name. I can just say an simple VM, and then I can just change certain options here, and password is something I can give. Okay, username also I can just give here. Okay, so this way I can just create it from the template. So pretty much this is a very straightforward option, but only thing is like it is going to help you streamline and standardize. You can create as many number of resources as you want using the templates. So it is going to be creating the same thing again and again. It is repeatable, reusable, and very much standardized, because the way it creates, it is going to create the same exact resource, whatever way we do it. Let this complete. So we can also go and check whether the storage account was created. Let me minimize all these things. Okay, so I can go and check the storage account. I should see the storage account. Yeah, this is the one it has got created from the template. Okay, I can go and pretty much check that. So here there is a JSON view. If you click on that JSON view, you can find out what is the template that was used, okay, and what time it was created. You can also go and check when it got created and using which template, and you can see from where it got created and all. So it's pretty much clear, and it's also saying me what option we used. Okay, you can use the same template. You can also go and check the logs if you want to check from how, when the creation time, and all these things will available here itself. And even you can go and check it under the activity log, where you will find when the resource got created and how it got created and so on. So it is clearly showing me that it got created 6 minutes back, and you can also see that it got created from here using that resource, and you can see the template and who created it, from which color, which ID, and how did they create it, whether they created it using template. All those information will be completely available in the activity log also. This is pretty much similar to your cloud trail in AWS, so you get all the logs here. And you can also go and filter it based on the time span. You can look the log from the resource group level, or if you want to check it from the subscription level also, you can go and check it. Or if you want to filter by specific event with some user ID or some specific creation or deletion, or if you want to check for a specific resource group type or resource type, you can also filter it. So that way there are many options. You can filter it. You can see the activity log at all various level. If you want to see it at the subscription level also, you can go and filter down all the activities at the subscription level. And from here also you can go and filter what kind of stuff that you want to see, whether you want to see it for a particular resource type or resource group, or for a particular user or a particular event. So all these things can be filtered, and you can pretty much see it at various levels. Okay, going back to the other resource that we have created, we should see a new VM. Scan simple VM should be ready, and it is already running and ready for consumption. So templates are very much useful, and you can also create multiple resources. There are many different templates available here. If I go one step back and I can show you the different scripts that are available. Okay, so I can go to my GitHub. So here, if I want to use some other template, let's say I want to create multiple resources, I can also go and choose something little complex. So 100 series are very much basic ones, okay? And then there are certain larger ones also. Even under the quick start also, you will see some numbers at the bottom, which are complex script. Let's say I want to create migration container. So let's see if there are any multiple resource creation option here, and then we can give it a try. I think within the computer also we'll see some load balancers and stuff. So yeah, here I have got a 2 VMs load balancer with NAT rule and load balancer rule. So I can also use this. Okay, it's the same way. You can just go and deploy to Azure from here, or you can copy the name, or just the name is fine, or you can copy the entire link and go and start deploying it. So you can create single resource or multiple resource, or the entire application could be templatized. So templatizing is the way forward. And if you're working in a DevOps team, they are insisting on this particular practice, right? This is a buzzword since last 6-7 years. So this is going to create 2 VMs and one load balancer, and with some specific load balancer rule. And you can pretty much do that from the template. It clearly tells us what exactly it is going to give. So you can go and fill in the basic details, and it should pretty much create it. So any questions on the structure, or any questions around the ARM template example that we saw? Since this is open standard, and it is again completely key value pair, right? Nothing complex in this particular thing. Every information that we are entering, it is all key value pair. Nickname, the nick, and then the content version, the version, the SKU name, the name. So nothing to memorize here. All the templates or different examples are already available. It is for us to go and check the script, and then check the template and then execute it. That's the only thing we have to focus on. So any questions around the ARM template?
Good. So
Okay.
I've actually missed some of it. I mean, I'll go through the video and then
Sure. Always feel free to do that. So templates are very much useful for specifying the resources and the dependencies. You can repeatedly use it, and you can get a standardized output. Consistent deployment could be done. You can also go and incrementally edit it, and you can change it anytime. It is idempotent, and it's all JSON driven. If you know JSON template structure, you can pretty much create it. So consistency is the key, and you are reducing the manual work, and you are avoiding the human errors, because templates are useful. Like if you are done some implementation for development environment, you just have to only change the environment type to production and the template, and you can start deploying it. So you can have the exact same environment across different environment, like development, production, QA, and so on. So it is enhancing the reusability. It is promoting the reuse. So creating is very much modular in nature, and you can link different things. You can create multiple resources. It very much simplifies the workflow and orchestration that we are doing. So this is the complete structure of your JSON template. It should have a schema, then version, parameters, variables. Functions are dependent on case to case. If you want to add some specific functions, you can add it, or it is pretty much optional. So each key is a string in that particular template, and it is a collection of complete key value pair. Okay, and each value can be a string or a number or boolean expression, list of values or object. But if you are using YAML template or HashiCorp configuration language template, they have a little more additional values that you can pass on. Okay, but JSON has got some limitation. So these are the 5 different things you can enter, like string, number, boolean expression, list of values and objects. And if you go to YAML, it supports arrays and other extra things. Okay, but here there is not much challenges. Okay, but compared to YAML and compared to HashiCorp configuration language, the type of data types that it supports is kind of little less. I think 3 or 4 is extra in YAML, and 6 or 7 items are extra in your HashiCorp configuration language. So this is how it looks like, the parameters information. So parameters is the details that we provide, the credential that you have to enter in the template, and if it is parameters, you have to enter these details, or else if it is already templatized, it will be under your metadata and you can go and use them. So deploying infrastructure as a code is the way forward, or it is already the method in many of the organizations. You have all the templates available in the GitHub. You can go and pick and choose based on your requirement and do it. So in general, when you go and create it, there are certain ways you can simplify the way you can create it. For example, if you want to create 3 different accounts, okay, you can use the simplification options here. There is a section called copy, where you can go and create 3 exactly similar content with the same thing. You can have up to 100 resources. Okay, it is very easy to go and recreate or create bulk resources using the template. So you can just use the copy section that we have mentioned here. You just have to mention the count, and it will increase the index number. If you want to create storage account 1, 2, and 3, just add the index number here, and automatically at the end it will go and create a storage account with numbers. And also you can mention the mode here. The mode is important because certain resources you have to create it in serial, I mean one after another. But if you have to create all the 3 in parallel, like if you want to create 100 virtual machines in parallel, you can also go and select the mode as parallel. Or if you want to create one by one, you can just go and select the mode as serial option. So that way it will wait for the other resource to get creates, and then it will go and create the other one. So you can just go and also configure some conditions if you want to have check some mandatory information, or if you want to check some specific resources are already available. You can also go and mention the condition and then check whether the resource is already present before it can go and create it. For example, when you want to create a load balancer, you can just wait for the virtual machines to create, and if the VM is already created and if you see as the outcome, then you can just go and check certain parameters in the output, and you can go with the next thing. So you can also add conditions if you want certain resources to get created after the other resources as a dependency. You can also do it. So when you're mentioning the creating the template, the parameter section you have to minimize the use. Okay, don't put too much of load on the parameter section. If you are adding too much of information on the parameter section, the script is going to run for a longer duration. And what will happen is, if you are adding too many parameters, the script will continue to run again and again. See, because that is the top level thing, right? And see, if something fails at the metadata level, or something it fails at the resource level, it will go and run the script again and again. So if you are adding overloading the parameter section, it is going to run for a longer duration. Try to minimize the use of parameters and use the other options like metadata or the resources section to create or pass on the parameter properties. So always understand that all the templating languages, it uses camel casing. So camel casing means, see here, for example, storage account type, they have not given any space, or they have not given any comma or something here. So instead what they have made, like the second word has been given as an indication with uppercase. For account they have mentioned capital A, and for type they have mentioned capital T. So they have merged all the 3 different words into one single word, and this is what they call it as camel casing. So they don't give space in between. See here, in general, like what we will do, default value is the way how we write it in English, right? But here they have used the camel casing to indicate that there are two different words in that particular single word. So there is a indicator with uppercase. So that's what we call it as camel casing. I mean, the entire script will be like that. See, for example, extension name, the N is uppercase here. So extension publisher, P is uppercase here. Subnet prefix, P is uppercase. So they are indicating that these are three different words like virtual, network, name. So they are not giving space. Instead, they are using camel casing. So uppercase is I mean, first word or the subsequent words. The first letter will have the uppercase to denote that it is a separate word altogether. So you can use the parameters for some of the varying information like the SKU, the size, the capacity. This will vary, right? So you can use that under the parameter section. That is a good practice. And you can also use parameter to specify specific name or stuff to identify. But try to limit the amount of information that you are passing on via the parameter section. Okay, that's the good practice that you need to follow. Okay, with that said, I think we are pretty much covered with the first half. So we have covered the Azure CLI, Cloud Shell, Azure PowerShell, and we have also touched upon the